worker for Joe Biden's campaign. I'm also the owner and operator of WeOlive. So this is a special moment for me. So 14 years ago this August, I was a political science undergrad student at UNLV. I had a professor, Dr. Titus, also a state senator. She was running for governor, and that was my first campaign. That was 2006. And then I was lucky enough to go back to Carson City with her in 2007 to serve as her legislative intern when she was the Senate Minority Leader. So now to be here in this position, having her stand in my business in Northern Nevada as a sitting Congresswoman is really amazing. So thank you. So I can give a more formal introduction though. So, not all that. I'll just start with, we are so fortunate to have Congresswoman Titus here with us today. She is a true advocate for Nevada, and I mean all of Nevada. Carson City, all the way to Washington, D.C., she's there for us. We're grateful. And so for her to be here on behalf of the Vice President, thank you, we need you, and we appreciate all of you being here today. Let's go. Well, thank you. Thank you.
This is a treat for me, so thank you all for being here and what you've been doing on this campaign. I've campaigned around Nevada for a long time for myself and for other people, but I've never gone on the road before, and that's how strongly I feel about Joe Biden and about this election. Yes. So I was in New Hampshire, 5 degrees, that's pretty cold. I was in Iowa, but don't blame all that screw up on me. And now going around the state, so we were down in Douglas County and then Carson City and here in Reno, and it's just, I feel good about it. So much is happening, and this is so important that I just want to talk about Joe Biden and why we need him, why I think he's the best person at this time. Now, one thing, he knows Nevada. He's been coming here for a long time. He came here to campaign for Harry Reid. He came here to campaign for me when I first ran for Congress. He's been back a number of times, so he knows us, and I think he feels like he is part of this kind of family. Also, unlike New Hampshire and Iowa, Nevada is much more like the face of America. And that plays to his strength because of all the candidates. He's put together a broader coalition than anybody else. And Nevada's very diverse. We're ethnically diverse. We have young people at universities and many seniors who are retired here. We have a pretty strong labor union and building trades and in culinary, military families, and Joe Biden and Jill Biden has made that a priority. So this is a good place for him to play strong. We wish we'd done better in Iowa, but we knew it would never be the best place. And in New Hampshire, you got 2 neighboring senators who were right there. It's not like Nevada where you got to go 500 miles to knock a door in the next precinct. They're all right there together. But that's why Nevada is so important. This will be the backstop. This will where he'll show that coalition, put him on the road to South Carolina, and then to Super Tuesday, and hopefully be pretty much wrapped up by then, or at least be a 2-person race. And also, all eyes are on us because of the caucus and how bad it went in Iowa. They're looking to see how we're going to do it here. So that's what's really coming up and coming up fast. We've been encouraging people to vote early. You know, people in Nevada like to vote early. We do it all the time. 65% of people turn out early. So vote early and get it done, and you don't have to worry about what's happening on caucus day. But I just hope that you will support Joe Biden. I think that he not only puts together that broad coalition, but he's got the experience to get this country back on track and bring people back together. It used to be, he was accused of being a liberal, and they called it liberal, not progressive. And my record is about as liberal as you get. Certainly in Nevada, it's the most liberal. But I believe being progressive means really getting something done. So you got to right the wrong that's happened over these last 4 years, bring people back together, put smart people in good positions, and then move the agenda forward. Also, I serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and I've talked to people from all around the world, from Paris to East Timor, and they all tell me that they are really worried about the United States, that we have dropped back. You've heard the Vice President say we need to lead by example. We are not doing that now, just the opposite. And if we drop back, China moves in economically, Russia moves in politically, and we get left out of what's the future. So I think he is really strong there, because all these world leaders know him and respect him and can deal with him. Also, the number one issue, if you poll people, is health care. That's what people care about. And he's proven that he can do that when they did Obamacare. And he wants to build on that and move towards broader access and lower cost. I was there, I voted for Obamacare, and you'll remember when he kind of leaned over to the president and said, "This is a big effing deal." Maybe not the best choice of words, but it was a big effing deal. And it still is. It's still important that we protect it. You got Donald Trump standing up there at the State of the Union saying, "I want to protect pre-existing conditions." 70 times they have voted to overturn it. Every regulation they can do, they try to. And now it's in the courts to get rid of it, and he's standing there saying, "Not protected." Well, he does, right, there's no intent. So Joe Biden can do that with health care. And then the number one issue with young people is the environment. And so we have to remind people that Joe Biden did a climate change bill back in the 80s before we were even talking about it. So there are just many things to look at in his record, but also, he's suffered a lot. You think about, well, he's vice president, what a life, but you think of the things that he's been through in life. And sometimes you just have to kind of go through some things like that to walk in other people's shoes. And I think he does that more than any other candidate. So that's why I feel so strongly about it. And I hope that you will help us and help work for him so he will win Nevada. But I'd be curious to hear what y'all are feeling or what you're hearing out there, or answer any questions. Tell me what you know.
I'm going to start. I am senior advocate,
Oh.
and I'm also on the Reno Senior Advisory Board, I have a little bit of background.
Yes.
I was also a social worker. I worked with the elderly for 25 years. And my main concern is for Medicare for All, which follows Medicare, but there are a number of doctors out there already that don't take Medicaid. And my main fear is if we go to Medicare for All, we need to have incentives to these doctors so they will either join Medicare or will continue to accept Medicare. And nobody's really bringing that up. So if you have influence with our vice president that we dearly love, will you please let him know that maybe he could bring that up?
All right, that's a very good point. We talk about Medicare for All, and I'd like to see us move where health care is provided for everybody. As Democrats, we all believe it's a right, not a privilege. But you're not going to just jump in there tomorrow and have instantly Medicare for all. You got to expand on Obamacare. You got to broaden it. You got to bring those states that don't have Medicaid into the system. You got to bring those drug prices down and let Medicare negotiate for prices. I mean, how they got that in the legislation, I'll never know. That's before my time. But that's right. It's got to grow like this, and so I will mention that as a good thing to point out. Because even people who have Medicare, most people have to have a supplement to go along with that, and so. And a lot of the unions, the culinary union especially recently, over the years, they have negotiated for good health benefits. And in doing that, they've often given up pay raises. So they don't want to see what they've fought for so long be jeopardized. Culinary put out a statement to its members that they did not support Bernie or Elizabeth Warren's Medicare for All. And so that's kind of more that kind of growing approach that they see.
I was talking to Jenny about this earlier, but one of the concerns I have and what's been brought up in the media is Joe Biden's fundraising being able to make it through Tuesday, the media's logged on to that, saying doesn't have enough money, it's got to change. What have you been hearing? Is this strong enough to make it?
I think he has enough money to do what he needs to do. You know, you always need more money. Elizabeth Warren is kind of running out of money. I think the press has just been the hard on Joe from the beginning. He was too old, he was too tired, he was not enough money, too something. You know,
It's only a couple of years younger.
well, I know, Bernie's older. I don't think that will be a problem. You always need more resources, but he'll come out strong from Nevada. I think he'll be in the pack in New Hampshire and then going into South Carolina. They always look for the negative, and they never ask you the questions, like in the debates. You know, his strength is so much foreign policy. They never get around to foreign policy. This last debate was the only time they did more on it, but it's complex, it's not as interesting. They're trying to pit one against the other, but he'll have the resources that he needs. He's up on TV. Have you seen some of his ads here? They're good. They're really good. It shows that compassion. And you know, the debate setting is not his strength.
No.
You got Buttigieg, who says the same thing every time he speaks. But in the meantime, Biden's talking about your children, going to get
Buttigieg is kind of the flavor of the day.
That's right. That's right. The new shiny object. But you get Joe Biden in a room like this, or one-on-one, or even in those town halls are better than the debates. You see that depth of knowledge, that breadth of experience, that personal compassion that will make him a good president.
Both two.
Oh my God, so funny. Go ahead.
I think my concern is just here in Nevada right now is that people understanding that they can vote early. And I think a lot of them don't understand because this is all so new, and I think they feel like I don't want to caucus, so I'm just not going to be involved. And I was talking to Jenny about this when I walked in. It's like my husband heard it on the radio because I didn't really understand what they meant about early voting. It's almost like we have a primary and a caucus.
That's right.
And I think we need to get the media out really and communicating this better to our population because I don't think they understand.
I think you are so right about that. I'm very worried about that. This is the first time you voted early in a caucus.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hybrid primary caucus combination.
But it's important to let people know.
Yeah. When they need to know when you can vote early and where you can vote early. Because people work odd shifts, they can't get off, they got young children, they don't want to spend a Saturday at a caucus. I know in Iowa when I was caucusing, some people say, yeah, I'm for Joe Biden, but I'm 79 years old with a bad back. I'm not going out by myself in the snow, you know. And so you're so right about that. The party, well, you know, they had to revamp after Iowa, get rid of the app, get something else, and so it's all been changing. But the party's got to get that word out.
Well, it was interesting, there are volunteers that were in Iowa, and we had some yesterday from California, and they were kind of like, what? You guys can vote early? And so, because Iowa's been so, you know, because it's been there for so long, they know the deal. We don't really totally get it here right now. And so, yeah, I think if we can get that communicated more to the population and our state, that would be really good.
I think the Biden folks now, as they knock doors and leave material, are going to leave a sheet of paper of where you can go and when you can go, and that'll be helpful. But we've got to do that. But it was kind of funny in Iowa when I was talking about Nevada. People were real curious about Nevada. Everybody who was freezing back there wanted to come to Nevada. I said, well, you know, it's a little different. We got early voting, and in Nevada, you can vote in the casinos. And they all thought, oh, what But it's back of the house for the people who work there. It's not being front of the house or people who are gambling.
Is there any talk about going back to a primary?
There's more and more talk about it. There's talk about Iowa not being first for a number of reasons. And then the notion of what this caucus is just too confusing and it keeps people away, and why don't we just have a primary?
I'm going to say one thing, all of you in here, what I've been doing, just my own personal thing, is I've been letting all of my Facebook friends know, because a lot of them didn't realize about the early voting, so I'm going to step forward them that are now going to caucus. doing 15
That's
to
great.
the 18. I didn't know they could do that.
That's
So,
good. And any of your social media, put it out, put the word out.
Yeah.
We need to do that for sure.
Are they gonna find any dirt on Hunter Biden?
Well,
Is
you know,
there dirt there that's gonna come out and sabotage us?
No. Well, you remember how they did Hillary with the
Yeah.
drip of the emails and nothing was there? It's gonna get worse before it gets better. And they will go after Hunter Biden. They have shown over and over again there was nothing there. It was the administration, it was the bipartisan Congress, it was the NATO allies who all wanted to go after I don't know exactly what his title was, but the guy in Ukraine. It had nothing to do with Hunter Biden. But they won't let it go. It's like a dog with a bone. But if it's not that, it will be something else. And if it's not Joe Biden, whoever is the candidate, they will just make up stuff. And they will go after him, and they will be nasty. And so I think Joe Biden has he has staying power. They've proven it. Let's move forward. And if anybody can talk about children, my God, look at what the Trump children are doing.
I know, but I haven't seen anything that really makes me feel like the Democrats are doing enough to clear that misinformation. So that makes me think, is there something? So
There's
I'd
been
like to see
investigations.
Democrats. Yeah, but we don't.
I know it wasn't recent, but they tried to find something on him and they didn't find it.
But
But you're right, I know.
I
But the
think
problem
that's
is when you
what
get into defending yourself, then it starts to, it gets the story going and it makes you look defensive and all that. But a point to remember is, if they weren't afraid of Joe Biden, and if they didn't think he was the toughest one to beat, they wouldn't have started all this a year ago and keeping on about it.
And you have to bash back.
What?
Bash back.
Bash back.
Bash back.
You're not of the feeling when they go low, we go
That is because this is a blood sport and you do not give your opposition that much ground, ever, ever.
Look what his kids are doing.
That's
Well,
all over, gotta have them all over.
At least you don't have to make up anything.
That's
right.
$82 million while you've been in the White House this past year.
We don't have
Nice. Right, bash back.
Well,
Got
Joe
social
Biden
media,
is a nice guy.
bash
That's
back.
not
Somebody
his
else has
style.
got to do it, not
And he
Joe.
hasn't even
You won't
gone
do it.
after any of the other
Has to be
Democrats.
somebody else.
And this last debate was about the strongest he's ever done, and all he said was that being the president's a lot different from being the mayor of a little town. And then he said Bernie hadn't told us how he's going to pay for it. But you're right, you got to fight back to show some strength. But with Trump, there's just so much material.
Oh,
And you're not gonna get his core hardcore people. They're not coming over. They won't believe you. They fake news, all of that. What we have to do is show that we can bring over the nonpartisans. They don't like Trump, but if you put Bernie on the ticket, they're gonna stay with Trump because the economy is pretty good. You got to give them somebody they think can get something done, who is reasonable, respected, and can bring people back together. And I think that's Joe Biden's strength. So he will bring those nonpartisans, and he will help voters down, people running down the ticket. In Iowa, 2 young women, Democrats, first time ever elected there, historic, they were campaigning for Biden because they know that they won't get reelected in their swing districts if you put somebody too extreme at the top of the ticket. And you didn't ever say.
I mean, it actually came back around to what I was going to say. Is my concern is for all of the candidates is the amount of reactions they're going to have to Trump, because I'm sorry, you can't. I don't think you can step into this fight because it's ridiculous. Because it is not realistic. There's no reality in what he is saying. So if you walk into that and try, it's like arguing with someone who's saying,
you just have to
but
say that
that's
over
great.
and over
That
again.
wall is great. Then yeah, but if you say it over and over, you're just spending all of your energy and time fighting against something that is just absolutely ridiculous and ludicrous. And I think we just need to really get strong and stop reacting to this, like, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's so stupid that I want to move forward and talk about what we're going to do to fix it. We're not going to have this guy for the next 4 years. We need to move forward and not keep, jumping in and trying to defend ourselves against crazy stupidity. Yeah.
Well, we have tried to brag about what the Democrats have done in the House. That we can legislate as well as investigate. We've sent some 300 to 400 bills, and these are big bills. This is equal pay, this is domestic violence, this is equality, voter protection, gun background checks to the Senate. And McConnell brags about this being the burial ground for good legislation, because all he wants to do is push through those judges who are anti-choice. They've set a record, it's already over 200, and that's what he cares about. So we have tried to talk about the good things we have done. The press doesn't focus on it, and the public doesn't realize it because it hasn't passed the Senate, so they don't feel it personally. And so it's really hard to ignore him because he sucks up all the air in the room and talk about our accomplishments. But I agree with you. We got to talk about what people care about and how we're going to address it going forward. Because, we can undo maybe 4 years of what this president has done in terms of internationally or rolling back climate change, rolling back environmental protections, consumer protections, civil liberties. But 8 years, this will be a different world that none of us will consider.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Representative Titus, there's been a lot of division amongst, the supporters for Elizabeth Warren and Sanders and Biden. Whoever gets the support, whoever gets the nomination, would they have your support? And do you think that other people should follow suit if it's Biden, if it's Sanders, if it's Buttigieg? Do you think that, Democrats should rally around that candidate? What should be the
I don't think there's any question about it. The number one thing we have got to do is get Donald Trump out of the White House. Girls above him, and I will vote for that person. I think all of the candidates, with the exception of Bernie, will immediately do that and bring their forces, and the people who support them, they got second and third choices, and they'll come together. People are still talking about Bernie's lack of support for Hillary.
Yes.
And the Bernie people are very strong and very kind of rabid supporters of him personally. And so the real challenge will be getting him to step up and say, we got to unite and bring those people with him and do it early enough so that we can beat Trump in November.
Do you see him doing that? Do you see him?
It's the challenge.
But Bernie supporters are like the Trump base.
Right. Well, that's the other end.
Yeah. They're very similar. I think what sunk us last time also was the third-party candidates that kept citing.
That's right.
And we just did not consolidate around her. There were people that were Democrats that hated her, and she's probably one of the most qualified people that's ever done.
Absolutely.
How could you do that? But
Well, the other side spent 30 years vilifying her.
Yeah.
So going back to Arkansas, so some people just never got over
they
it.
never,
Is there any indication about the VP being partner?
Well, he said that there are 9 to 10 that he would certainly consider. I don't think he's going to announce now. But if you're just thinking about balancing the ticket, I would imagine women will be on the list, minorities will be on the list, and somebody younger will be on the list. So from that, kind of that combination description, I think he would pick somebody. Stacey Abrams from Georgia would be great. Kamala Harris was another possibility. Then there was a little, during one of those days, Michelle Obama. Everybody knows Michelle Obama.
How about Dina Titus?
I'm too old.
Or a Republican?
Well, you never know. Some people like Klobuchar, think she would be good to run the ticket with them. She's a smart lady. And I'm sure there are some names we haven't even thought of. But if you're looking for a profile, that would be my guess. Would be the profile.
It's not a good paper right now.
No. I know, think of that. It's one thing where if they gave the State of the Union address, he comes in and people start shouting 4 more years. I guess a rally, as opposed to a very formal. And then, you know, he was throwing out, here's a star for the general, here's a scholarship for the little girl, here's the Medal of Freedom for Russia. Somebody said they thought it was gonna be like Oprah, where he's gonna say, look under your seat, you got it. You get to mark everybody. Okay, so now that's bad enough. But the worst was at the prayer breakfast. And you make fun of somebody's religion. How can you do that? The only thing worse than that, I think, was making fun of a disabled person. There's just no limit to the death. I don't know. Some of the Republicans will tell you in the elevator, well, you know, we don't like that. They'll go right down there and vote, absolutely. And you look at the Senate, look at Susan Collins. Every time she fools us, you know, she's like the Lucy and Peanut. She puts that football out there, every time. Yeah, that's right. It's all concerned. Well, so are you optimistic? Are you feeling good on the doors or on the phones? I'm feeling good. Feeling strong. Well, thank y'all for all you're doing. It's wonderful.
I'd like to say something. You have sons in the military.
Yes.
And let me tell you, the military does not like Trump. Now, they will vote Democratic, although they're registered Republican, if we have a moderate. I mean, if we have Bernie, if we have Warren, they're going to go vote for that third candidate like they have with Trump. And that's just a matter of fact. I mean, it's just baked in, and he's high up in the military, and I do a lot of stuff that, you know, that just talking to his mom, not talking from what, but the military's not happy with them.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because they're not. He took military money from them to build the wall. He's sending more troops to the Middle East. He's called the generals a bunch of fools and don't know as much as he does about that. He stepped over the military to change a ruling that they had made. You saw where the Secretary of the Navy, who resigned and was endorsing the Democrat. So, you know, I'm glad you brought that up. Also, I was sitting next to former Senator Nelson from Florida at an event not too long ago, and he said to me, the Democrats can take Florida if Joe Biden's at the top of the two.